Welcome to another episode of DIY Prop Shop. Today, I'm making all the props. Today is all about Legend of Zelda. You guys have already seen Man-at-Arms make the sword and shield, but today I'm going to focus on some of the other props that don't get as much love, but are definitely important to Link's journey. I'm going to be making the bunny hood, a fairy in a jar, the heart piece, and some of the stage medallions from Ocarina of Time, which is my favorite Legend of Zelda game. Let's start our quest. The first prop that I'm going to make is the bunny hood. It's just a pair of little bunny ears on a thick headband with two little bunny eyes. I'm going to make it with a headband, some craft wire, wrap the wire in a little bit of foam, wrap some felt around it, and I'm going to use a little bit of foam to add some structure. So I've already made one ear, and now I'm going to show you how I did it. First, you're going to make a pattern that's about the size that you want your ear to be. Then you're going to make the frame out of wire and make sure that it's long enough to wrap around the headband a few times so that it stays really sturdy. Now I'm going to wrap my wire frame in a little bit of packaging foam. You can use anything, fabric, felt, just to give it a little more volume so that when we wrap the brown layer, it'll still be nice and thick. Now my wire frame has nice volume to it, and I can go ahead and wrap it in some felt. All you have to do is wrap the felt around the back and over the rounded edge, then hot glue it down. So now I'm done wrapping my felt around my wire frame, and I can go ahead and do the inside of the bunny ear. I've already cut a piece out of lighter felt, and I can just hot glue it in. So now the ear part is done, and I can still bend them into any shape I want since they're wire on the inside. Yay! The headband on the bunny hood is pretty thick, enough to fit two little bunny eyes. Mine is pretty thin, so I need to build it out, and I'm going to pattern that out of foam. Since there's a lot of glue and wire attached to the headband, if you're using a thinner felt, it might be a good idea to do another layer of foam on the top. But since my felt is pretty thick and fuzzy, I'm just going to skip straight to hot gluing it on. Now my headband is all finished being covered in felt, which has also added a little extra stability. Now the last thing to do is put two little eyes on top, which I'll also cut out of felt. So now my bunny hood is all completed. The nice thing about the way that I made it is that part of it is only foam and felt, and there's no headband in the way of letting you pin it to your hat so that it doesn't fall off. Yay. Now I'm ready. Next, we're going to make the medallions that the sages give you in Ocarina of Time. There are 6 different ones that represent 6 different accomplishments in the game. We're going to use wood circles and acrylic paint, and we're going to make the designs using hot glue. This is from the N64 game, so everything's a little more polygonal than it needs to be, so feel free to make it a little bit your own. So as soon as I finished drawing the design, I realized hot glue was probably going to be a little bit tedious, and that Worbla would work much better for some of these intricate shapes. Hot glue is still the DIY way to do it, but I'm going to use Worbla so that it's crispy clean. If you played the game, you definitely know that the heart piece is really important to Link's health. It's just a little red heart encased inside of a big clear one. So these are all of the materials you need for the heart piece. You'll need 2 heart silicone molds. As long as the molds are flexible, you don't need release spray. You'll also need a 2-part epoxy resin. The best kind to get is a 1-to-1 ratio because that's the easiest to use. You'll also need red dye and a mixing cup. The resin takes a couple hours to cure, and it's a little bit counterintuitive, but the thicker it is, the faster it'll cure. Our pieces are kind of thin, so they're going to take a little longer than usual. So now the red heart is ready to cure. It'll probably take about 3 or 4 hours. Very easy, not so quick. So now our little red heart piece is pretty much dry. So now we just place the red heart in the center, and we'll cover this with clear resin and totally encase the red heart. Time to pour. So now our heart piece is pretty much dry and we can take it out. Just peel and pray. Ah! Looks pretty good. Next, we're going to make the fairy in a jar. First, you're going to need a jar that will fit your light, and then you're going to need to make a little fairy. There are a few ways that you can do this. I prefer to use either a ping pong ball or a styrofoam ball and an individual LED. You can make the wings out of paper and cellophane. I've decided to use a mailing label because it's already sticky and then I don't have to use glue. Then you'll have to suspend your fairy from the cork with wire. So I have a few different options for making sure that our light shows up nice and bright. I can cut a hole in a ping pong ball, but the issue here is that it doesn't quite disperse the light correctly. Instead, I prefer to use a styrofoam ball, which makes it look kind of glittery and disperses it really well. I want the color to show up a little more intensely, so I did a really light layer of pink over a styrofoam ball, and now it looks pretty good. So now it's time to make the wings. What I do is draw a little pattern on cardstock and transfer it over to the sticky mailing label. I'm going to sandwich a piece of cellophane in between 2 pieces of label to get this nice iridescent fairy wing. To keep the wings from falling off, what I've done is run a wire all the way from the big wing to the opposing little one. Now our little fairy is all ready for jarring. All we have to do is make a little suspension, which I'm going to make out of wire and tie around the cork. Yay, now I'm done bottling my fairy. I'm ready to go fight a boss. Hey, listen! We're done with all of our Zelda props. We're pretty much ready for an adventure. All of these props I made in one day. They're definitely very DIY. If you have any suggestions for what you want to see us make next, let us know in the comments. You might also have noticed my ghostly friend Poe in the background. If you want to see how I made him, check out my YouTube. Otherwise, till then, I'm Hendo. Thanks for making props with me. Get in there. Good. Head for adventures now. Hey guys, I'm going to be at WonderCon at the end of the month with Elizabeth Rage. She's going to be doing cosplay on Saturday, and I'm going to be making a prop on Sunday. Come swing by our booth and say hi.